Flight attendant received a note from a passenger. He barely looked at it, probably just another request for a drink or a seat change. Then the man leaned in and muttered, "Miss, you'd better read that note. I have a bomb." In that moment, the routine flight turned into a crisis. At 10,000 feet, at 2:50 p.m. on November 24, 1971, a plane got in contact with Portland International En route Control Center. This was a Boeing 727-100 scheduled for a short flight north, operated by Northwest Orient Airlines, part of Delta Airlines, headed from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. Everything seemed routine. The captain, William Ascot, read back the air traffic controller's clearance at 2:52 p.m., allowing him to fly to en route waypoint. Only a few minutes later, something was off. Control center in Portland saw that the altitude for the aircraft was around 10,000 feet, almost 2,000 feet lower than the original cruise altitude. The plane was flying slowly, at around 200 miles per hour, deep into a thick cloud cover, and was gradually descending. At 3:45 p.m., the plane landed at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. The rain battered the tarmac as the engines hummed harmoniously. It remained there for nearly 2 hours. Then, at 7:36 p.m., it took off again, heading south toward Reno, Nevada. Portland contacted the plane and asked what altitude the plane was cleared for, but they received no response. They didn't know why the plane landed, then flew again. Over the next 30 seconds, Portland tried to contact the flight crew 2 more times. No answer. The control center tried a different frequency, but again, silence filled the airwaves. The radar contact was lost. Seattle Air Traffic Control Center triggered a distress phase, declaring that the aircraft and its occupant were in imminent danger and required immediate assistance. At 8:45 p.m., Northwest Orient Flight 305 opened its door somewhere over southwestern Washington. A man stepped forward, then jumped, vanishing forever. But who was this man, and how did he disappear without a trace forever? November 24, 1971, 3:50 p.m. Everything changed. Portland International Airport. A man in his mid-40s, dressed in a dark suit, white shirt, black tie, and loafers, walked into the terminal, carried a briefcase, and moved with the calm confidence of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. At the ticket counter, he purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper. To the ticket agent, he was just another passenger. Nothing about him stood out. He boarded Northwest Airlines Flight 305, a Boeing 727, and took his seat in the middle of the last row on the right side of the cabin. The flight was only about 30 minutes long, a routine hop from Portland to Seattle. Cooper ordered a drink, bourbon and soda, and lit a cigarette. It was the 70s, and smoking on planes was still allowed. To the other passenger and crew, he seemed like an ordinary businessman, perhaps heading home after a day of meeting. But Dan Cooper was no ordinary passenger. Once the plane was airborne, Cooper handed a note to flight attendant Flora Schaffner. She assumed it was just a casual message until he urged her to read it. Inside, the words sent a chill down her spine. "I have a bomb." He motioned for her to sit beside him and discreetly opened his briefcase, revealing 8 red cylinders wired together what appeared to be dynamite. His demands were prices: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, 2 primary and 2 reserve, and fuel truck ready upon landing in Seattle. Any deviation and he would do the job. Schaffner relayed the message to the cockpit. The pilots remained calm, following standard procedure. Another flight attendant, Tina Moklow, was assigned to stay with Cooper as his intermediary. For the next hour and a half, Flight 305 circled Seattle, waiting for authorities to meet his demands. The FBI contacted the Seattle First National Bank, which had pre-prepared ransom package of $250,000 for emergency situations like this. They quickly assembled $200,000 in 20 bills, 10,000 bills in total, recording the serial numbers. Meanwhile, a local skydiving school provided the 4 parachutes Cooper had requested. At 5:45 p.m., after more than 2 hours of circling, Flight 305 finally landed at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Rain poured down as the plane taxied to a remote section of the tarmac. Far from the terminal, the money and parachutes were brought on board, and Cooper allowed the passengers and two flight attendants to disembark. Most passengers still had no idea they had been hijacked. They believed the delay was due to mechanical issues or bad weather. With the ransom secured and only 4 crew members remaining on board, Cooper issued new instructions. The crew was to fly to Mexico City under strict conditions, landing gear down, flaps set at 15 degrees, altitude below 10,000 feet, cabin lights off, the aft stairway to remain extended. The pilots explained they couldn't reach Mexico City without refueling. After some negotiation, Cooper agreed to refueling stop in Reno, Nevada at 7:36 p.m. Flight 305 took off again, this time into the unknown. Less than 5 minutes after takeoff, Cooper instructed Moklow to go to the cockpit and not return. That was the last time anyone saw him. At approximately 8:05 p.m., the crew felt a sharp vibration in the plane. They suspected it was the aft stairway moving, possibly from Cooper making his leap. The weather outside was brutal. Freezing rain, strong winds, and pitch black darkness. 3 hours later, Flight 305 landed in Reno. The crew cautiously entered the cabin. Cooper was gone. So was the money, his briefcase, everything. All that remained were a black clip-on tie, 8 cigarette butts, 2 unused parachutes. The aft stairway showed signs of mid-flight deployment. Then Cooper had vanished, and the legend was burned.